Saturday night's all right for fighting. Well, yeah, it is. Saturday, August 22nd, 2020 will go down as a very busy night, as there was not only a UFC event going on, but AEW held a episode of Dynamite from Daly's Place, and the event that I'm going to cover in this video was NXT TakeOver 30, or NXT TakeOver XXX, from Full Sail University in Orlando, Florida. The event aired live on the WWE Network on the eve of WWE Summerslam 2020, which will emanate from Orlando, but from WWE's brand new Thunderdome complex built at the Amway Center in Orlando. So here are my takes, some of my favorite moments and spots from the evening that was. Open things up on the pre-show. There was one match on the pre-show, which I can't remember happening in past NXT TakeOver pre-shows. So this was a little bit of a bonus. We had a number one contendership match that was a triple threat match for the number one contendership of the NXT tag team titles, I should say. Oni Lorcan and Danny Burch took on Breezango, took on Raul Mendoza and Joaquin Wilde. And I think this was a good taste test of what we were going to see throughout the night. This was going on at about the same time that AEW Dynamite had decided to go on the air as well. Dynamite had been preempted from Wednesday this week because of the NBA playoffs. So as their show was going to air on the States, the special and the pre-show was starting on the WWE Network. So again, the triple threat match is again for the number one contendership for the NXT tag team titles, held by Imperium, so Marcel Barthel and Fabian Eichner, and the winner will get a shot later on down the line for the NXT tag team titles. So here we go. The Lorcan Fandango stare off was interesting. Yeah, that was a kind of an interesting moment after the bell rang for sure. Mendoza and Wilde were hitting all of the high risk in this match. Near fall as Wilde hits a 450 on Breeze. Breeze though hits a super kick on Lorcan and gets the 1-2-3 for the finish. Breezango is the new number one contender. The runtime for that match was 6:52. Very fast pace, and you know, it was a good showcase of NXT's tag team division. I think it'll be shaping together nicely. It'll probably look a lot better once you add some pieces in this upcoming draft, and I think that might be the division that between them and the NXT Cruiserweight division that might see the most amount of additions for that show for NXT going forward. I don't really see a addition in any of the big ones. You might get a major single star either on the men's or women's side to join the NXT roster for a ratings grab to help them compete on Wednesday nights, but I predict the bulk of the movement will be teams and individuals in the NXT Cruiserweight and the NXT tag team division being added to NXT, if that makes sense. I love the use of the song Moth into Flame by Metallica during this entire lead up and the pay-per-view. It was an awesome opening video, as always, by WWE. That's one thing they do, is the production for these events have been second to none. And we go right into the opener, which is Timothy Thatcher taking on Finn Balor. And this match starts hot. Balor blames Thatcher for Balor not being in the North American ladder match tonight. And Thatcher wants to make an example of Balor, so let's get at it. And Thatcher starts looking for submission attempts early, and it leads to a Kimura attempt by Thatcher on Balor, but no tap out. Balor answers with a Pele, and it's a reset. Both of them are, are down on the mat, and the 10 count is going. Coup de grace attempt by Balor jams his knee, and Thatcher hits a single leg crab, but no submission. But Finn hits the 1918 and grabs a 1-2-3 for the finish, and this was a very solid opener. The runtime for this one was 13:32, and again, this was a very solid opening match. It standalone, if it was on a normal television show, would probably be the best match of that television show. The problem of it is there are still 4 other matches coming that could easily knock that one out of the rank of match of the night from this card, at least, and match of the night overall. We'll be watching this throughout the night, obviously with AEW putting out what they're doing as well, so it'll be interesting to compare matches from this card to compare them with matches from the AEW card as well later on, which we will do. So Next match was the North American title ladder match with 5 participants: Damian Priest, Johnny Gargano, Bronson Reed, Cameron Grimes, and Velveteen Dream. Priest paying tribute to Razor Ramon with his entrance tonight, kind of going underneath the ladders like Razor used to, and Reed paying tribute to Bam Bam Bigelow with his gear tonight, which was very cool. There was a funny spot earlier on with Cameron Grimes kind of doing the splits on both ladders. I like the Cameron Grimes character now. He's really become kind of a mad lad type character, just one of them country hillbillies, I guess. Priest gets within fingertips of the belt, no dice, but he's hauled off by the Velveteen Dream. Candice LeRae crashes ringside and takes care of Grimes off the ladder, and then she takes care of the field on the outside to allow Johnny to get an advantage in the ring. And this is maybe about the halfway point in the match or so. She attempts to do the same with Bronson Reed, but adds the weight as Reed delivers a big splash from the ladder on Gargano in one of the memorable moments of the night. A very memorable spot. Double stomp by Grimes to Priest after Dream crashes and burns, and Grimes gets thrown off by Gargano. And then tons of apron work, too, as Dream hits the Dream Valley Driver on the apron on Gargano. An oh my god type moment as Dream gets dumped off the ladder and into, well, not just ringside, but into scaffolding at ringside in amongst where the crowd would normally be sitting at Full Sail. Wow. Reed gets dumped by Grimes. Gargano and Priest tug of war over the title. This is the finish now. So there was a tug of war fight between Gargano and Priest, kind of tug of warring back and forth. Gargano gets dumped. Priest wins. Priest is the new NXT North American champion, and by the traffic on Twitter, people dug it big time. The length of the match is 21-24, not the longest of the card. The main event match was actually the longest tonight, but only by a few seconds. So fairly consistent and fairly tight programming tonight from the NXT crew. And also pretty cool to see Damian Priest, the former Punishment Martinez in Ring of Honor, get a run with the North American belt now. Hopefully the run is nice and long and it can last to at least maybe the TakeOver before Survivor Series in November. We'll wait and see. Up next, Adam Cole takes on Pat McAfee, which is one of the wrestler versus celebrity type matches that nobody thought they would see, but eventually kind of builds up to it being. So this match itself didn't really give me at first. It gave me Christopher Daniels versus Stephen Amell vibes. Remember that one from All In a few years back? Yes, 2018. If you haven't seen it, at the original All In, Stephen Amell, who is a card-carrying member, I think still to this day, of the Bullet Club in New Japan Pro Wrestling, took on SCU's Christopher Daniels in a one-on-one contest on that pay-per-view. And it was actually a very entertaining, very passable match. It would have been the best match on any television show at the time. You put that on Impact or Ring of Honor, it would probably be your main event match of the night. So that's kind of the standard that recently I've put for celebrity matches, and that's of not having seen any of the recent stuff that David Arquette has done. Apparently Arquette's in-ring ability has gone miles and miles above that of what it was in WCW back in the day. So this is kind of the standard that I hold all celebrity matches to. Not so much the Kaufman-Lawler standard, but hear me make allusions to this in the notes. I think it's in this notes. If anyway, they were on Twitter anyway, so if you go back to my Twitter on Kellen, or at Kellen Nitro on Twitter, I should say, they would be there. Anyone else also getting Adam Cole Undisputed Era call-up vibes from this? I don't know if this would be any lockstep of the current Retribution storyline or whatever. I guess we gotta wait for tomorrow night to see, because there was absolutely no mention of Retribution on this card, and there was no real presence from them at all, it being a WWE event for NXT TakeOver 30. So I doubt it. I really do. I think that Undisputed Era is one of the things that makes NXT click, and it would be awkward as hell to see them on SmackDown or Raw every week, but they could make it work for sure. Cole sends the Undisputed Era back to the back after his entrance. And I got McAfee is a hell of a heel. Let's see if he can go, because he cuts a great promo backstage and he brings his entourage to the ring. It quickly breaks down as the Undisputed Era hits ringside, and the edict by William Regal, the commissioner of NXT, was basically, okay, it's a captain's match. Both sides, you got to keep your thugs, kind of in the back there and that stuff. And then once that was separated, even before that, McAfee hits a flipping swanton to the entire schmoz, which was like a one-footed flipping swanton thing. That is, very impressive. Very, very impressive. The scuttlebutt on McAfee was before the NFL. He was training in the off-season as a independent wrestler as well. So he has had some ring time. So this wasn't the case of somebody coming in from the outside that was absolutely green. He's had, maybe at least 1 or 2 matches before this, if not, definitely some workouts. So, and he has a ring presence, which is awesome. So then it's back to the two in the ring, and Cole grabs the momentum with a neck breaker and a 2 count. McAfee with a 1 leap back flip and a 1 leap superplex to Cole. Oh my god, yeah. So it looked like Cole was going to try and powerbomb McAfee off the side there, but McAfee flips out of it onto the middle of the ring from the top rope, and then runs back up and does a 1 leap superplex, which means he dead ass jumps right from the ring itself to the top rope in 1 leap and just heave-hose Cole off of the edge of the ring, which is that was eye-opening. That was an incredible spot. I think you've seen GIFs of it. If not, it has been capped. It's online. Go check out Twitter for sure. But after that, McAfee starts selling his leg a little bit as if he took a leg injury during that. So Cole attacks McAfee's leg and can't get a submission. McAfee, though, answers with a low blow and hits the punt kick, which I think Graves is trying to get called the touchback, which might be his finisher for only 2. McAfee looks for a double axe handle, and Cole lands a super kick. And here comes the finish. The Panama Sunrise by Cole and a 1-2-3, and the win for Adam Cole over Pat McAfee. A very impressive debut for McAfee, but the vet gets the W. The runtime for that one was 16:12, so by far it's the longest celebrity match I've seen up to this point, and it was a very quality encounter. This will be the standard now in which all celebrity matches are judged by, I think. Even though McAfee probably had a little inside track going into this, I think that obviously his credibility, him being a radio host and a contributor with WWE in some form and fashion, really helped him out. He had to have access to the Performance Center in the past as well. So, kudos to him for picking up on it again if he had to, or picking up on it from the beginning if, what we find out to be online was in fact erroneous. But, hey, they got something to build on with him for sure. Definite heel, and for a heel versus heel match, there's been 2 real good heel versus heel matches on this card. The opener with Balor and Thatcher was heel versus heel, and this one here between McAfee and Cole was heel versus heel. They almost turned Cole face twice during this thing, which was, kind of a jaw-dropping type thing. Like, oh my god, are they going to pull the trigger on this? This is kind of wild. So I don't think this is the end of the feud. If it is, that's kind of sad, but hey, this might be something. You might laugh, but that entire entourage that was behind McAfee for sure might be getting trained for in-ring competition too. We don't know that. So maybe that's your War Games for this year. Who knows? The NXT Women's title was on the line next, with the champion Io Shirai taking on the challenger Dakota Kai. And of course, where Dakota goes, Raquel Gonzalez is closely in tow in kind of a HBK Diesel bodyguard type thing. So we thought Io rung her own bell doing flip evades in the ring to start the match, but it was a reel them in type thing. Yes, it was. Io Shirai kind of held her head and kind of slowed down for a second, as if she kind of spiked herself into the ground when she's doing some flip evades earlier on, right after the bell, when they were doing kind of a quick cross ring type, opening sequence, I guess. And we were like, whoa, okay. But nope, it was just one of those suckered them in type things and try to wrap them up for a 2 count with a small package, and that's what that was. So Kaido turns the tables for strikes. Massive palm strike, though, levels Dakota, and this was an awesome standoff later on in the match as Kai and Io went head-to-head with Dakota throwing kicks and Io throwing strikes. Kai attempts an avalanche kick in the corner, but she nails the ref. Shirai hits a moonsault and a no free count, of course. Raquel hits the ring and plants the champ with a chokeslam, and Dakota only gets 2. Shirai hits a huge moonsault outside of the ring, catches Gonzalez with her knees, so that puts Gonzalez out, and then rolls in Dakota Kai and hits a moonsault for the 1-2-3, and the runtime for that contest was 17-13, a very quality 17-13. Post-match, Io celebrates, but Raquel attacks Io. The returning Rhea Ripley hits the ring and stands face-to-face with Raquel and chases her off. So that could be very interesting going forward as well. I think that obviously that's a NXT television main event being built in the future between Ripley and Raquel Gonzalez. NXT UK is back on September 17th. An awesome trailer for that. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. Also, Tommaso Ciampa returns Wednesday to the NXT fold, and Mackenzie Mitchell attempts to interview Damian Priest, who ends up in the hot tub with a couple of ladies, one of them being Brandi Lauren from Evolve, and romantically linked now with Joey Janela. So this is a kind of a cool thing where a lot of the Evolve talent now that used to be under that banner is going to be kind of integrated in with the WWE PC and definitely used more on WWE TV. Well, Brandi Lauren was already used in that squash matches with I think it was Jessamine Duke on Raw it was Marina Shafir, I'm sorry, earlier this week on Raw during Raw Underground. So the main event match was for the NXT Championship, the champion Keith Lee taking on Karrion Kross with Scarlett in his corner. I still think Kross's entrance is a bit extra. Yeah, the symphonic metal doomsday thing is kind of cool imagery, but less is more. Less is definitely more. The match starts hot and works its way to the outside. Kross working on the arm of Keith Lee as Lee tries to attempt to throw a big clothesline on the outside and catches nothing but plexiglass. Actually knocks one of the panels out from ringside. Kross is attempting a armbreaker type maneuver, but Lee won't quit. Lee barely surviving a Saito suplex by Kross. And Kross locks in a rear naked choke for a submission, but Lee stays alive and gets through the ropes. Getting close to the end of the match now, a spirit bomb attempt by Keith Lee lands, only 2, but Kross reverses a suplex into a Doomsday Saito suplex, which is one of his finishers he has been using lately on NXT TV, and gets a 1-2-3 count. Brand new NXT champion. It is Karrion Kross, and the runtime of the show was 2 hours, 23 minutes, and 10 seconds. So all in all, I thought it was a fairly solid NXT TakeOver. From front to back, a very entertaining evening. Kind of cool to see a pre-show match come back to the fold for the first time in a long time on an NXT TakeOver. My grading of the show is a solid 7.5 out of 10. A very entertaining program from top to back. Very refreshing that it ended under 2.5 hours. And the matches were awesome quality. Cool to see Priest finally get the North American Championship. That's pretty cool. And Karrion Kross is the new NXT champion. Like I said, the entrance is a little much for me, but the character and the whole thing is, I think, really cool. So anyway, that's it for part 1 of 2 for tonight. I'm going to get back in front of the TV and start taking notes of, this week's episode of AEW Dynamite, which also aired at the same time as NXT TakeOver, and we'll do some comparisons and some stuff and talk about that coming up later on. So later days, happy wrestling watching, and we'll catch you next time on Nitromaniac TV's Wrestling Unlimited. I knew I'd get it right.